Be prepared for something new. Everyone is different. So are you. Stay straight. No masquerades. Do things that you'll remember. You can push too far, but stay fair. Stay on track. Give it your all. Get to the bottom of things. Decide what's right. Don't believe in what the others do. Find it out for yourself. Be close to it all. Bring your heart along. Follow your goals. Reach for the stars. Turn the weekend into the loudest party of your life. Are you prepared?
Oh yes, we are prepared. Welcome to DTM 2017, and qualification for the first race is about to get underway. Welcome to Hockenheim. And wow, what a season we have in prospect. We have some new rules, we have some new drivers. The cars look and sound absolutely fantastic across free practice. Really interesting to watch, and we are set for what will be a phenomenal season in 2017. Critically, during this qualification phase as well, not only are the drivers, of course, fighting to be as far up as the grid as they can possibly be, there are points up for grabs in quali as well now. P1 gets you 3 points, P2 gets you 2 points, P3 gets you 1 point. Come the end of the season, top racing driver alongside me, Alex Torril, every single point counts, doesn't it? And therefore in quali, if you're able to bank some points.
Yeah, good morning, Dave. Exactly. It's really important now. The qualifying will play a big role into the end of the year points classification, because at the end it can be, we've seen already in the past, the drivers arrive to the end of the year only within 2-3 points, and this can make a difference.
Absolutely. We just saw champion Marco Wittmann, and now we can see Timo Glock then. The Deutsche Post liveried BMW M4 DTM for Timo Glock, and there he is. The focus on those eyes, ready to get this first qualification session underway. You and I have been watching free practice with very focused eyes, and it has to be said, it's looked very good during free practice for Mercedes-Benz. Last year an Audi driver, this year Mercedes-Benz. Eduardo Mortara came so very close, of course, last year. He'll definitely have, in those eyes, the championship as his target, but with a new manufacturer this year, Mercedes-Benz. So here is the free practice 2, and to reinforce what I was saying, look at the top 4. Auer, De Resta, Mortara, Robert Wickens. Then we see the Audi of Nico Müller. Then it was Marco Wittmann, Timo Glock, returnee Maro Engel. Welcome back to the DTM, was P8. And if I may say, of the 3 manufacturers, Alex, BMW looked to be the ones that hadn't quite unlocked something during free practice.
Yeah, we've seen that they were struggling to find the pace during free practice, but as you know, Dave, and we already experienced the DTM, it can still happen something in qualifying. They will definitely push to be as front as possible.
Well, we will see. It's a very short, sharp qualifying, and we have the excellent qualifying on the same day as the race. So the conditions that the drivers will experience now here at the track during the course of qualifying will be pretty much the conditions that they expect when it comes to the race a little bit later on today. Same will of course be true tomorrow for race number 2. Race duration for 2017, 55 minutes plus 1 lap, mandatory pit stop in that. Both races stay the same. Last year, Saturdays, more of a sprint race. Sundays was a longer race. This year, everything has been neutralised. Everything is exactly the same across race day 1 and race day 2. Good thing?
Yeah, I think it's a really good thing. We also will see pit stop in both races, either Saturday and Sunday. And also, we also see new regulations in the pit stop, so less mechanics per car, only 2 mechanics per side of the car. So this will make pit stop longer, and they also will play a role. We already saw in the free practice some fails by pit stop, so it will be also interesting to see how the teams can adapt to this new rule.
And of course, what it'll be great for us as spectators because the cars will be longer in that pit lane, won't they? And as you say, strategically, there's more you can do with that. You make the point also that in free practice this morning, we appreciate it was only free practice. We saw a couple of wheel gun failures, didn't we?
Exactly. That's what I meant. So it's not as fast as last year. The mechanics have to move from the front of the car to the rear of the car. So this will play a big role into the race for sure.
You and I last night were in a briefing with the Hankook tyre engineers. We also met with Dieter Gass, who's head of Audi Motorsport now and very much in charge of the DTM campaign for Audi. There was a little bit of a difference of opinion in terms of what was Matthias Ekstrom, very early doors there on cold tyres.
I think he's still maybe on the rallycross mode.
He, of course, a very busy man this weekend because he's not only in DTM but also in rallycross and tyre warmers.
But this is important thing, like you said. Sorry to interrupt, but this year the drivers doesn't have the tyre warmers, so they go outside with the car with completely cold tyres.
Okay, so we make that point. And we also go back to the briefing that I was explaining just a moment ago that we were in with the Hankook engineers because the tyres are different compound this year.
Yeah, exactly. The DTM has now a new compound which is softer, but also will degrade faster than the previous years.
Yes.
So this will play a big role in qualifying because we will see faster lap times. But then into the race, the longevity of the tyre will be less.
Okay, so you're going to... Okay. And of course there's a smaller number of tyres across the course of a weekend as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Going to be very, very exciting. Timo Glock dives into the pit lane here. Already the first 2 minutes.
Copy. So we fit new tyres and you will do 2 flyers.
So already 2 minutes gone, and we heard there team radio being banned in the race itself, but Timo there going to get a new set of tyres, going to have 2 flying laps.
Yep, that will be interesting to see. We already saw in free practice that the tyres can work really good for 2-3 laps. So I think we will see some drivers with new tyres having 2-3 chances within the same set of tyres.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it unfolds over the next 17.5 minutes. We're on board with Matthias Ekstrom. Very early doors. Sector 1, 22.330. Round the Parabolica now, heading up towards that very, very tight hairpin at Hockenheim. DRS has changed for 2017 as well. You get 3 uses of DRS, and those 3 uses can only be used across 12 laps in the race. So again, very strategic in terms of when the driver chooses to use the DRS, because bear in mind, with no team radio, he can have no benefit of his race engineer telling him when's good and when is bad. The only communication during the race, unless for safety reasons, will be via the pit board. Nico Muller, early stages of free practice 2, looked very, very quick indeed in the all-new liveried number 51 car. So Nico Muller then, his first sector, 21.3. So Nico Muller takes us around this Hockenheim circuit then. Always the opener for DTM. As we see crossing the line there in the all-green car, new into DTM, car number 77. Loïc Duval, very experienced driver, of course, but we've seen just how long it takes experienced drivers to get up to speed with DTM cars, Alex.
Yeah, it's really experienced driving in endurance, but this is back to the sprint mode, so it's always a difference between you driving in an endurance mode with LMP1s, long duration races, and then back to a race which is 55 minutes and you have to push from the beginning to the end. This might even play a good role into him because he knows how to manage a tire in the longevity. And with this tire, we will see this during the races.
Well, at the moment, it's Audi P1 and P2. Matthias Ekstrom and Nico Muller then the fastest 2. Then it's Paul de Rest and Maro Engel then. And we're on board with Lucas Auer now. PBs in Sector 1 and Sector 2. This is a brilliant splitter cam that we had there. Look at the focus on Lucas Auer then. Of course, his uncle is now heading up DTM. He's in charge of the promoting body, the ITR, one Mr. Gerhard Berger. There's a lot of positivity around DTM at the moment. And here's Lucas Auer then. He's heading towards the timing line now. Gary Paffett goes quickest with a 1:38.292, and Lucas Auer is just 1/10 behind him with a 1:38.402. And Paul de Resta now, he's done a PB in Sector 1. Again, Paul de Resta was one of those in free practice that looked very, very good indeed. Mercedes-Benz really seemed to have got it all together during the course of the free practice sessions. Of course, the cars have been out and the drivers have tested as well. So it's Mercedes, Mercedes, Audi, Mercedes-Benz at the moment. We're watching Paul de Resta, who's currently P8, as you can see, relative to the others that are out there and setting times all the time. We're already into the second half of qualifying. It goes just like that. And the drivers just get a couple of opportunities to nail really, really good laps. Don't want to be bogged down with traffic. And Paul de Resta goes P1 with a 1:31.760. Nico Muller now, he's done PBs in Sector 1 and Sector 2. He's currently P9.
One more lap. Currently P2, quickest.
Just also really good lap from Maro Engel, so it's back in the pace. Looks like P3 at the moment, missing 3/10 to Paul de Resta, so I think we'll need to keep an eye on him.
Here comes Bruno Spengler then for BMW. What can he deliver? He can deliver P4 at the moment, so we have Mercedes, Audi, Mercedes, BMW, with 14 minutes left to run. Here comes Robert Wickens then. He, another one that looked very, very good during free practice as well, wearing the football team's livery across the car.
Sector 2.
P11 to P2 for Robert Wickens, 1:31. Lucas Auer with his 1:31.543 finds himself P3. So it's a 4-strong Mercedes-Benz lockout over the top 4 places at the moment. Who in the sectors is looking really, really good? Where have we got purples in the sectors at the moment? I don't see any.
Lucas Auer is now purple in Sector 1.
Okay. On board around the parabolica then, heading up towards the hairpin as we cross back to Paul de Resta, who again has done PBs in Sector 1 and Sector 2. The perfect benchmark time of 1:31.443. Well, Paul de Resta sits in behind that now with a 1:31.532, so 8/100ths slower than Gary Paffett at the moment. Paffett, de Resta, Robert Wickens, Lucas Auer, now Maro Engel as well. So all of a sudden it becomes a 5-strong party right at the top of the field with 12, just under 13 minutes remaining. Here comes Maxime Martin then for BMW. Was P16, now goes P6. Vaults 10 places up the order now for Maxime Martin. We're on board with Timo Glock. He's also looked good, and he goes P5 with a 1:31.556. So
Box, Timo box. At the
Timo
moment
being
we are
told to box.
P5.
Lucas Auer then, Sector 2 wasn't so strong for the Mercedes-Benz driver, the young Austrian star, but makes no difference because he's gone P2. Just sometimes Lucas can really unlock
box this lap. Box this lap. At the moment, P2.
So catching as much of the team radio from the engineers to the drivers as we can, because we're not going to have a whole down lot of that during the course of the race. To come a little bit later on this afternoon, some super slow-mos of Lucas Auer. So champion then, Marco Wittmann, number 11, PB in Sector 1. A little bit shabby perhaps through Sector 2. He has one more turn to do before he reaches the timing line. He's currently P11 for the champion. Marco Wittmann then, as he crosses the timing line now, doesn't improve.
No, it's like we saw in free practice, BMW is struggling a bit to follow the pace of the Mercedes.
Box in this lap, and P11 at the moment.
Mike Rockenfeller, P17. Just looking at the order, we've still got that Mercedes domination at the front. Best of the BMWs is Timo Glock. Best of the Audis is Nico Muller, P8. But here comes Mike Rockenfeller then. PBs in Sector 1 and Sector 2. But bear in mind, this might be the time that sends Rockenfeller further up the order. Mike Rockenfeller then. The cars look absolutely stunning for 2017. Well, he improves 1 place. It's still in the 132s as we check out the Gary Paffett car in the garage then. And another fantastic feature for DTM this year is the opening up of pit garages for spectators to actually see the pit garages at work. Maxime Martin in the BMW M4 DTM being pushed back into the garage. Expect everyone to go out for late date runs. And here we can see just 2 people on the tyre now, as you can see. Oh, and that, you see, that's a problem, isn't it? When someone gets in the way, Alex.
You need a really good coordination within the mechanics.
Whoa.
to get it work right.
Now that would have cost maybe a second, wouldn't it?
For sure. You are challenging 10, 12 laps during the range to chip 1, 2, 3 tenths a lap away, and then you can do so easy 1 second in the pit stop.
Yes. So lots and lots of activity in the garage. We've only got Mike Rockenfeller Loic Duval and also Jamie Green out there on track at the moment. There is the car of Eduardo Mortara being pushed back into the garage, and there is what I was talking about, the windows into the pit garages for the spectators
8.27
to observe what's going on. They're watching Timo Glock there, and there we can see it from a different angle. So
Stand by. We do the best we can. We just lost power in the garage, so we're struggling a little bit.
Oh, that's an interesting one, losing power in the garage.
Never heard that before.
Oh, okay. But 50p in the meter. Well,
Yeah.
Okay, Edo, do you want a bit of rear wing as well? I'm going to do an offset on the tire pressures to give you a bit more rear grip. So we're going to increase the split by 0.1 on the tire pressures. Do you also want a step of rear wing?
really interesting to hear that.
Probably yes, slightly yes, please.
And that's how crucial, Alex, you as a racing driver, the relationship you have with your chief engineer in terms of them setting the car up that suits your personal style of driving. That's something that's born of, much time together, isn't it? And them understanding what you want, you understanding what is going to make the car better for you as a driver.
Yeah, exactly, Dave. It's really important, the relationship between driver and engineer. It has to work like a team, has to be working like a one piece, because the engineer has to understand the driver has to understand the engineer, and it's really important to have a clear and direct communication. And as well, confidence.
Yes.
Confidence is really important.
Because ultimately, whatever he instructs to be done on that car is going to affect your performance, isn't it?
Exactly.
Okay, and we look at the Eduardo Mortara car then. Edo, of course, who was so close to clinching the championship last year. I'll never forget the look of abject disappointment as he crossed the finish line, actually took the win.
Because we can't show you data at the moment. We have some network issues here. We can't show you data at the moment. Sorry for that, mate.
So Auer not being able to be shown the data he wants.
Just for us or for everybody?
Seems like it's for everybody the same.
So Auer struggling to entertain himself then whilst he doesn't go out. I was saying about the abject disappointment as Eduardo Mortara crossed the line at the end of the season last year. He was the race winner, but of course the saddest race winner in DTM, because he knew that the championship had gone awry and it hadn't happened for him. Matthias Ekstrom then, who, as we mentioned earlier in the program,
procedure, and then I will go back to you.
is a busy man over the course of this weekend as he's combining his exploits in DTM with exploits in Rallycross as well. Great to watch the teams hard at work here. There's obviously some network and power
we
issues
don't get destroyed by the other ones.
in the garages at the moment. They're the Augusto Farfus car. So where is Augusto Farfus in the goodness, P17? Right, out straight away then comes the number 2 car of Gary Paffett with just over 6.5 minutes remaining. And Rennie Rast is back in DTM, having had sporadic appearances in DTM, but confirmed campaign for the season. Rennie Rast, a very experienced racer, nice guy as well, and it'd be very interesting to see how he develops across the course of the year. He's currently P12 with, as I say, those 6 minutes remaining. Jamie Green then, another one that many tipped for the top during the course of season 2016. Can he put it all together for season 2017? He's currently P13 for qualifying for race number 1 to come later today. There is the Paul de Resta car then. And he makes his way out of the garage now for the remaining 5 3/4 minutes that are available on the clock for qualifying to set the grid for race number 1, and also to bank the points for the top 3 in qualifying. 3 points for the P1 place in quali, 2 points for P2, and 1 point if you take P3. Mike Rockefeller then in car number 99, the Phoenix driver for Audi. As we see Edo Mortara there generate some sparks across the curbs. Actual curbs making contact there with the front splitter. Something that you and I were discussing, Alex, whilst we were watching free practice, is a very thin line between taking as much as you can in terms of runoff area. Doesn't take an awful lot to damage the aero on these cars.
Yeah, it's really easy if you take a curb too hard or you go in the runoff area too hard, you can actually damage the car a tiny bit. But these are really technical cars, really complicated cars, so small damage on the car could be a big thing on the track, in the performance of the car. Could means a lot in the performance of the car, and you can maybe lose quite a lot.
Tiny little damage could mean big consequences.
Exactly.
Something else that we were finding out in the Hankook tyre briefing yesterday was the fact that the tyres in the early stages without tyre warmers, you run the tyre pressures lower because naturally
yes, you're right.
the pressure will increase as the tyres get warmer, and therefore when the tyres are colder and lower pressure, that's when the damage is more susceptible, isn't it? By taking perhaps too much curb. And I actually asked Dieter Gas whether he was going to instruct drivers to keep off the curbs in the early stages of the race.
Yeah, exactly. It happens quite often. As a racing driver, you have to take care of the first lap with cold tires because, as you said, the pressures are low, and when the pressures are low, the chemical compound of the tire is not working as it should because it needs temperature to work, and it's really easy to damage a tire or to cut a tire with a curb. That's why it's better to avoid the curb. But of course, we will see this in the pit stop during the race when the driver has to go out and push from the first meter. How they manage this to keep pushing but avoid curbs, especially in a racetrack here like Hockenheim, where you use a lot the outside areas and the curbs.
So just to remind you then, tyre warmers not being used from this year, so the tyres are going to be cold when they're actually put onto the car. Right, Gary Paffett, 1:31.443. We've got 3 minutes and counting left on this qualifying session. At the moment, Paffett, Lucas Auer is P2, Paul Di Resta is P3, Robert Wickens is P4, best of the BMWs is Timo Glock, best of the Audis remains Nico Muller in P8, but expect an awful lot of activity to come over the final 3 minutes of qualifying to set the grid for race number 1, weaving from side to side. Both Timo Glock and Bruno Spengler trying to generate that critical temperature into those tyres. There is the Gary Paffett car then that currently sits P1. The time of 1:31.443. New compound tyres this year from Hankook as well. And in the early stages of qualifying, Gary Paffett clearly able to switch on the compound in those tyres and get the very, very best out of them and his car. And he sits P1. And now he's gone across Sector 1 faster than anyone. It's a PB in Sector 2. This is Gary Paffett then. He has the Timo Glock BMW ahead of him. Just the rear end appeared to kick out just a little bit there. Interesting how they take different lines through that turn number 12. That's something that we'll be exploring with Alex Torrell during the course of the race. What's the best line through that turn? It's final turn now. And Gary Paffett then with a 1:31.042.
Improves 4:10, so that's going to be a tight one.
Here comes Edo Mortara then. Whoa, just runs off the rumble strips. Edo Mortara then is currently P10, PB, Sector 1 and Sector 2. Whether it'll have been compromised just by a couple of tenths by that little excursion onto the rumble strips. Whoa, 1:31.120. Mortara goes P2. Here comes Lucas Auer fighting back then. These are all Mercedes drivers. PB, Sector 1, Sector 2 for Lucas Auer. 1:31.042 is where we're aiming. And Lucas Auer goes 1:30.849. Now that actually is quite a margin that he's taken out there. Very nearly 2 tenths.
Impressive time. I think it's a really good lap. I think it's going to be hard for the rest of the drivers to improve that lap time, but still 1 minute to go, so we can still see some improvements.
Here comes Timo Glock then. Well, he's down on Auer's first sector. So this is looking good for the BMW star, Timo Glock. Let's see what Timo Glock can do. Oh, now that will have effectively destroyed that lap for him.
We will see now the third sector probably, personal best.
But that's still P4.
Still P4. That's happened when you push. There's a typical thing that happens when you are pushing, looking for the last tens. It's really easy to lose a bit the rear, and then you lose some power down.
Maxime Martin we watch now. He has PBs, Sector 1, Sector 2. One turn to do for Maxime Martin then. The checkered flag is out. Anyone that's on a lap, that lap will count. Maxime Martin goes P5.
Good job, Max. P5, second BMW behind Glock, P5.
So who's still out there? And who is going to give us a lap? Here comes the champion, Marco Wittmann then. He's done PBs in Sector 1 and Sector 2. He's currently languishing down there in P15. Third from last turn now for Marco Wittmann. See the left foot braking going on there. Back on the throttle again. Try and keep it as tight. Kiss the apex, then let the car drift out to the runoff area and head towards the timing line for Marco Wittmann, who improves 4 places, but it's only P11. You can see the look of disappointment there, can't you? Expecting perhaps more from the car and also from the champion, double champion, Marco Wittmann. Lucas Au then pretty satisfied with his performance. Still the only sub 131 time, 130.849 for Lucas Au. Well, the power being off in his garage was a good thing.
Yeah.
It worked for him.
It looks like also the BMWs managed to recover a bit the performance from the free practice. So it's also good to see they are back in the pace.
Absolutely, being congratulated there by Gary Paffett. Lucas Au then closes the door to his Mercedes C63 AMG DTM car, really rather carefully. Applauds himself and his team as well. Our Paffett and Mortara. Handshake of congratulations from fellow TV personality now, Norbert Haug, former head, of course, of Mercedes Motorsport. And the congratulations all in the garages also. Drives off to be Wade. Gary Paffett walks away. And once again, offers his congratulations to Lucas Au then, who banks 3 points from that qualifying. Banks a pretty good time as well, 130.849. Paffett P2, Mortara P3, Timo Glock, Maxime Martin, 2 BMWs together, P4, P5. Then it was Paul de Resta. Then we see Maro Engel, P7. P8 goes the way of Nico Muller. Then it's Tom Lundqvist, Robert Wickens, P10, Marco Wittmann, Jamie Green. Then it's Spengler, Rast, Farfus, Rockenfeller, Ekstrom, and Loic Duval then, P18. Well, I think more than ever before, the pace we saw in free practice was actually replicated in qualifying as well. Because Mercedes looked good in free practice, didn't they?
Yeah, they were looking really good in practice, and now we have the confirmation they are in really good performance this year, or at least in this first race. But still we have a race this afternoon to watch, so like we said, new compound, let's see how the cars work at more laps. Because probably the car works really good in 1 lap, but then in the endurance during the duration of the race, it drops. So,
and this was something that we were talking about yesterday, was, you know, whether the degradation is very, very gradual, or whether all of a sudden, bosh, the tyre drops off a cliff. And we're not going to know that, are we?
We need to wait till this afternoon, and probably after the race we can maybe have more details and information. As we also spoke yesterday to Mr. Gas and the guys of Frankfurt, they also not sure how the tires will develop. They are still also having some question marks around this point. And I think everyone will experience this this afternoon when the green lights goes off.
That will be the time for it, won't it? Edo Mortara to the very left then, being Wade, he who came so close last year. And their very busy man, Matthias Ekstrom then. So say, combining his DTM outings this weekend with outings in World Rallycross as well. Here comes super slow-mos of the top 3 then. Eduardo Mortara has made his mark in qualifying 1 by setting that 131.120 time, which gives him P3 on the grid for race number 1. One of the most experienced DTM racers there is. Gary Paffett, who can still consistently deliver, has done so during qualifying. New livery for 20 17. The pace is still there, isn't it? P2 for Gary Paffett with his 1:31.042. But the little Austrian, diminutive Lucas Auer, absolutely super guy, potent, powerful, and knows where to put the car, and he has done it in qualifying 1 by putting it P1. 1:30.849 gives him P1 in qualifying for race 1 and gives him 3 points.
I'll just tell you one thing, 2 Pink's car in the top 3, Dave.
Sorry?
2 Pink cars in the top 3, so something new as well.
What is it with you and Pink? Not something that we will explain maybe later. So very happy around the Mercedes-Benz garages. There's Augusto Farfus walking away, and be disappointed with P15. That's what it was for Augusto Farfus. There's Eduardo Mortara. Lucas Auer then in conversations with Oliver Kaffenstein from Mercedes-Benz, then just repeating how good he must be feeling, I would think. And there we can see Mike Rockenfeller. Here comes the grid in full for you for race number 1 to come a little bit later this afternoon. On the front row then, it's a Mercedes lockout with Lucas Auer and Gary Paffett. The Mercedes dominance continues with P3 for Eduardo Mortara, but BMW joined the second row with Timo Glock going from P4. Then it's Maxime Martin and Paul di Resta, P5 and P6. The first of the Audis to show is on the outside of Maro Engel, who takes P7. Nico Müller is P8. Tom Blomqvist and Robert Wickens together on the 5th row of the grid for race number 1 here at Hockenheim. Then we find Marco Wittmann, the champion, P11. Jamie Green, P12. Bruno Spengler and René Rast then on the 7th row of the grid, P13, P14, before we find Augusto Farfus and Mike Rockenfeller going from P15 and P16. Matthias Ekstrom and Loic Duval, P17 and P18 on the grid. That's the way it looks for race number 1 to come this afternoon. 55 minutes plus 1 lap. There's Robert Wickens. He'll be bitterly disappointed with P10. You can almost tell that in the body language as he's walking back to the garage. Complete different facial expressions there from Lucas Auer, who did everything that he needed to do with that 1:30.849, as you can see. Very nearly 2/10 quicker than Gary Paffett and Eduardo Mortara, and Timo Glock, Maxime Martin, Paul di Resta, Maro Engel, Nico Müller, Tom Blomqvist and Robert Wickens then the top 10. And then it was Wittmann, Green, Spengler, Rast, Farfus, Rockenfeller, Ekstrom and Loic Duval bringing up the rear P18. Some 1.6 seconds off the pole sitting time. That's a big margin. Mike Rockenfeller in discussions as well. Probably felt that he was better than P16. So from Alex and from myself, join us for the race. Bye-bye for now.